Hello and welcome to another episode of Relationship Alive. This is your host, Neil Sattin. Well, I hope you got a chance to check out last week's episode, which was all about addiction. Whether you're addicted to sex, to love, or maybe even to dating, or addicted to something else, last week's episode was all about understanding the interpersonal neurobiology behind addiction and how you can heal in partnership or with other people. On top of that, we talked about how to discover a healthy sex for yourself. So what is healthy sex and how do you figure out what that means to you and how do you bring that into your relationships? So that episode last week was with Alex Katahakis, and you can find it, episode 116, by visiting neilsattin.com/healthysex. This week, we are going to talk about projecting. What are you projecting onto the world around you? And how do you keep that from getting in the way of having effective relationships and communication with the people in your world? And also, how do you keep it from affecting your ability to fully celebrate who you are? So I'm going to show you how to use the way that you project onto the world in order to heal some of the things that might be in your blind spots and how to find the things that are your strengths and that maybe you want to celebrate even more. So that's what we have in store today. We all project to some degree, and hopefully this episode will help you figure out how to make use of that instead of being victimized by the way that you project onto the world. Also, as always, I wanted to remind you, if you haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, my free guide to relationship communication, which has my top 3 relationship communication secrets, is available for you. All you have to do is visit neilsattin.com/relate or text the word relate to the number 33444 and follow the instructions, and you can get that guide for free. And I know it's already helped lots of people. Hopefully it can help you. Okay, so it is Thanksgiving week here in the US of A. And what that means is, before we dive into the meat, I wanted to just offer a little gratitude. And I wanted to start out with letting you know how grateful I am for you. Because I know that you are contributing to the world around you. And sure, I definitely appreciate it if you're able to rate and review the podcast on iTunes or make a donation or get the word out about the podcast. That stuff is great. I'm also grateful for the way that you show up to learn about how to do relationship even better, how to thrive in relationship, how to have a conscious connection with other people. And on top of all of that, I'm just grateful for you being you. I know just by the fact that you're listening here that you are someone who cares about the world, who cares about the people in your world. And I just wanted to give you a moment of shining the light on you and saying how much I appreciate that. It's not always easy, although sometimes it is. It's not always joyous, although sometimes it is. And I just wanted to give you a little appreciation. So thank you for being here with me on the Relationship Alive podcast. And I do want to give a special thank you to you if you've chipped in to help make the podcast happen. Those donations have made a huge difference this year for me personally and my family. And I just want you to know how much I really appreciate your support. Again, if you are finding the podcast to be helpful for you and you want to make a contribution that feels right, you can do that at neilsattin.com/support or text the word support to the number 33444 and follow the instructions. One last piece of gratitude. Okay, this isn't the last piece of gratitude. So I also want to just thank the folks at Talkspace who have been sponsoring the Relationship Alive podcast for the past couple months. So I thought I'd also let you know that I am giving Talkspace a try. So, the holidays are stressful and I wanted the chance to be able to reach out and text a therapist whenever I needed that boost of support. So I'm experimenting with Talkspace as well. And what I've noticed so far is that it's really helpful to be able to simply have someone to reach out to, someone who's not my friend, someone who's not my mom, someone who's there to advocate for me, encourage me, support me, and, sometimes to call me on my shit as well. It is different than traditional therapy or coaching, for sure. But so far, I'm encouraged by the feeling of knowing that my web of support is that much stronger. And I've also noticed that it's kind of like having a journal that actually talks back to you and offers really insightful help. So that's been pretty cool too. I've been able to use it on an almost daily basis to just write what's going on with me, things I have questions about, things I'm struggling with. And it's been a really helpful tool so far. So as a reminder, if you're interested in checking out Talkspace, they do have a special offer for you. If you're listening to the Relationship Alive podcast, which you are doing, you can visit Talkspace.com/alive. And if you use the coupon code ALIVE, you'll get $30 off your first month of therapy. And using that code also shows them that their support of the Relationship Alive podcast is making a difference. So don't forget to use it for $30 off. I'm going to keep you posted on my experience, and I definitely would be interested to hear from you about your experience with Talkspace. The other person I, of course, have to mention is my lovely wife, Chloe, and my kids. Without them, I probably wouldn't be doing this. And it's so amazing to be able to come back into the real life of my world, and for the good times and the hard times to have them showing up with me. So my kids probably aren't listening, but Chloe, you might be. So thank you so much for being you. Okay. I encourage you to offer some gratitude to the people in your life who are making a difference, and tell them how much they mean to you and how much you appreciate them. And you probably remember the gratitude ritual that we've talked about here on the show. If you don't, it's very easy and quick. You take a little bit of time, either in the morning or at night or both, and offer 3 appreciations to your special someone. Or if you are not in a relationship, maybe call a friend and offer them a few appreciations, and just to let them know how much you care. It feels really good to give that kind of feedback to people. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the meat of today's episode. What are you projecting? So I'd like you to take a moment and think about a quality that you really like and appreciate about your partner. If you're not in a relationship, then think about a quality that you admire in someone else. So it could be someone in your life. It could be someone who's no longer in your life that you miss. And this can be particularly helpful too if you have important people that you miss in your life. If you think, I want you to dive into your memory banks and ponder, what are the things about them that made them really special to you, or that make them really special to you if they're present for you in your life right now. So get really clear on what that quality is, or there may even be a few, so take a moment to name them. And if you'd like, you can pause me for a moment and just write them down or speak them out loud, so you're at least giving voice to what you're noticing. And if you did pause me, now I guess you're back. And I invite you now to look inwards and search for that quality in you. Is it something that's well developed? Or is it something that's dormant, that's waiting to be woken up? What would it look like if you made it your goal to own that quality in you even more over the next year? So if you already have it in spades, what happens if you have more spades? If it's just a little glimmer of a quality, what would happen if you shined a light on that quality and you just did something simple each week or each day, something small that you could do to take a step to develop that aspect of you? Or over time to know your limitations in that area. But you're not going to know unless you really explore and give it attention. So this isn't to suggest that other people don't have something to offer you, something unique to them. I mean, of course they do. Your expression of this quality is going to be different than their expression of this quality, for sure. But you could learn something from them and the way that they express this quality. Or ultimately, they could learn something from you, because as you invest time and energy in growing that part of you, even just a little bit, then it will develop a resonance with this person. And it may take on a totally new life, a totally new direction, in a way that really feeds your connection, and also that is reflected out into the world around you. So this is a really useful way of getting to the things about you that you love or that you could love, because they are reflected in the people around you. And I encourage you, even if it's something that you feel like, well, that is not me at all, to take a moment and just reflect on what it would be like if you did incorporate that into you. Whether it be that person's ability to accept you, however you are, judgment-free, or to show up in your life, or to always offer something funny, or to give you a shoulder to cry on, or to offer insight or perspective. I'm just naming a few qualities, but I think you get the idea. So the next step. Now, I would like you to think of someone with whom you are in conflict, or someone that you really don't like all that much. What is a quality of theirs that you really don't like, that rubs you the wrong way? So see if you can name this quality specifically, and if you can really wrap your brain around it. Because the more you generalize, then the more that you're powerless to actually create change in the situation or to create any sort of shift. So again, if it helps, feel free to pause me for a moment to see if you can describe the quality that you see in someone that really bothers you. Maybe they're unreliable, or they're always late, or they're kind of two-faced and you can't count on them to have your back, or they are always worrying and so they can't show up to support you because they always have all kinds of fear that they're holding for you. Whatever it is, take a moment and really reflect on what it is specifically, and then see if you can describe how that quality affects you. So you can get really into the experience of what it's like to be on the receiving end of this thing that is so irksome. Okay, do you got it? Now you've probably unpaused the podcast if you're back with me, and now I'm going to ask you to do something, you might even know what it is, something that's really uncomfortable. See if you can find that quality, that thing that you loathe so much in this other person. See if you can find that in yourself. Ask yourself, how am I blank? How am I judgmental? How am I intolerant? How am I unreliable? How am I slow on the uptake? Whatever it is, how are you that thing? How do you choose to express it? And for that matter, how do you choose to deny it? Can you get just as clear with how that quality lives in you as you did when you were thinking about how it exists in this other person? So it was perfectly okay to take their inventory. And trust me, I have been there lots of times. But can you get that clear on yourself? And it may be a tiny glimmer. It may be that you're not late at all, except for under these particular circumstances, or except when it comes to family Thanksgiving dinners or something like that. It may be small, or when you turn around and shine the light on yourself or look at your reflection in the mirror, you may notice that it's actually pretty big. If you're willing to be honest with yourself, you may see, wow, there are lots of ways that I am this thing. Now, I have a question for you. What if it's possible that the other person in your life was simply responding to this quality in you? What if they're not really that way at all, or they're only kind of that way, but they are resonating with that quality in you, in your interactions with this person? And what if that's the case? What if you made it your goal to change this quality in yourself? No matter how small, no matter how large it is, one step at a time over the next year. So sure, the temptation may be, once you see it in you, to say, I'm just getting rid of that. I'm just not going to do that. And that's great. I mean, that's a great impulse to follow. But my guess for you is that it won't leave that easily. I mean, it may disappear for a week or a day or something like that, but it's probably not going to vanish without a little bit of attention and effort. Because after all, it has served you this long, and it's been hidden under the radar because you're looking around and seeing it in other people. And for all those times that you've seen it at other people and projected onto them what you really detest or really don't want in your life, those are all moments that prevent you from seeing this uncomfortable aspect of yourself. So, first thing you can do is take a moment and offer gratitude. We are talking about Thanksgiving after all. So take a moment and offer gratitude to this other person for helping you see this hidden, uncomfortable aspect of yourself. Now, you probably should do that silently, like in a prayer or something, because it might not go over that well if you call up your friend and say, hey, thanks for being so unreliable so that I could see how unreliable I am too. I really appreciate the reflection. That probably won't go over so well. But it definitely will be interesting to you, for sure, to see how your interactions with that particular person change as you change your relationship to that quality within you, as you own it for yourself, and as you take tiny steps over time. And I mean, really, look out, say, if this could be totally different over like a year from now, what would it look like then? And what are the tiny things that I could do between now and then to get me there, rather than just eradicating it? I mean, go ahead, try and eradicate it. Like, I support you in that. Maybe some hypnosis would be good. But if not, take the tiny steps and you will certainly get there and notice a big change in your dynamic with that person. If for no other reason, then you'll feel more empowered around that, and there won't be these unstated things that you have to hide or suppress in yourself. If you're owning those qualities within you, then when you interact with someone who shows those qualities right back to you, you're going to have a totally different way of appreciating them or having compassion for them, or just creating boundaries that are effective for you. Okay, that is it for this week. These are two simple ways to see how you're projecting on the world around you and to take ownership so that you are not victimized either by the good things that you project onto other people and think for some reason that you can't have them for yourself, or particularly by the bad things that you project onto other people. So that's it for me for this week. I am not quite sure yet who I'm going to be airing next week, so I'm doing some pondering about that. There are so many juicy conversations to choose from, and I'm really excited for the coming months of the podcast. There's going to be lots of good stuff that is different, a couple return guests, and a bunch of new people that you haven't heard from before. So I'm really excited to get that out, of course. As always, if you have any insights or if there's something in particular that you're struggling with that you'd like to hear more about on the show, please feel free to drop me a line at Neilius, Neilius, at neilsattin.com. Or you can jump into the Relationship Alive community on Facebook and join the conversations there. I think we're coming up on almost 1,000 people there in the community who are all coming together to talk about conscious relationships, and there's some really beautiful support going on there as well. If you'd like my advice about something, personally, then you can drop me an email, and sometimes I will get back to you for that sort of thing. But I invite you to consider setting up a get-to-know-you session with me. So if you visit neilsattin.com and go to the coaching link, there's a place where you can sign up for one of these intro sessions with me. They're not free anymore, but you do get to choose what you want to pay. So you have to pay something, but you can choose what feels right for you. Not a bad deal, eh? All right. So again, I just want to say how grateful I am for you, and to know that we are on this journey together of having and creating deep conscious connection here in the world. Whether you like it or not, you are part of a movement that is having an effect in the culture around us, and it couldn't happen without you. And I really appreciate your participation and showing up. So in the meantime, I will see you next week. And until then, take care of yourself. And I look forward to seeing you next week with whomever we choose to air. Maybe I'll see you in a get to know you session. Maybe I'll see you in the Relationship Alive community. And hopefully you have a great week wherever you are in the world. Okay, ciao for now.